The big storm that's going on in F1 social media at the moment is this notion of a conflict of interest, and somehow Susie Wolff's involvement in the FIA and being partnered to Toto Wolff, one of the team owners, is some sort of conflict of interest. Now, for those of you that don't understand the notion of a conflict of interest, I'll give you an example. Let's say you are this man, the Prime Minister of the UK, in charge of making decisions for the benefit of people, the UK citizens, and let's say you're in charge of getting the best deal for selling our oil rights off. Okay, so you want to get the best deal. Now, if you've got shares in a certain company, then it could be argued that you stand to benefit if those companies do well. That's called a conflict of interest. So has Rishi Sunak got shares in Shell? Well, if you look down here, he's amongst the world's most famous metal traders and a founding member of the multi-billion-pound Red Kite Metals hedge fund. Hedge funds. Look who owns and look who's got investments in hedge funds and media companies, and look at all the links. Venture capitalist firms, hedge funds. Look at the links. Liberty Media. Check it all out. Check it all out. These things are not independent. Anyway, he also has current shareholdings in energy giants Royal Dutch Shell. Okay, so that's that one. Does Rishi Sunak own Shell? Despite the company being partly owned by his wife's family, Sunak previously said the matter is of no legitimate public interest. Thanks for that, Rishi. It comes as the CEO of oil giant Shell also joined Rishi Sunak's new business council. Okay, all right. So we're seeing where this is going. Sunak's family firm signed $1 billion deal with BP. A firm founded by Rishi Sunak's father-in-law signed $1 billion deal with BP 2 months before the Prime Minister opened hundreds of new licenses for oil and gas extraction in the North Sea. These things could be described as a conflict of interest. There are rules and regulations barring from these sorts of things from taking place. Nobody enforces them though. Like laws in this world now. Nobody seems to want to enforce fucking law. Anyway, enough of this prick. Let's have a look who this latest conflict of interest in Formula One revolves around. Here he is, look. The great white hope himself. If you haven't seen the full interview, it's available on the channel, the one with the orange thumbnail. But just so you can hear it just now.
Special. I think the Verstappen thing is probably upsetting his mind a little bit because, you know, he's the great white hope at the moment. Probably feels within the team. I think he feels pretty special. I think the Verstappen thing is probably upsetting his mind a little bit because, you know, he's the great white hope at the moment.
That's right. Good old Max Verstappen back in 2016 being the great white hope. Now, also later in that interview, Derek Warwick goes on to talk about Lewis Hamilton. So let's hear what Derek has to say about Lewis, who's not the great white hope, by the way, just in case you didn't kind of understand that.
Derek, does he have an Achilles heel, or do you think he is the best driver in Formula One at the minute?
If I had a Grand Prix team today, I would 100% have Lewis Hamilton driving my car. The only problem with Lewis comes a little bit of baggage. You know, he's not the most sporting person out there, but we've seen a massive change in his personality this year. I don't know what's happened.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton is not the most sporting person out there, according to Derek. But we've seen a massive change. He doesn't know what's happened. What could have happened, Derek?
Whereas before he was that sulky person, but I think now he is sort of mellowed a little bit. I don't know whether it's the third world championship or whether his mum's talked to him and said, look, you know, you're a bit Marmite, you know, there's too many people either like you or hate you.
That's right, Derek. It must be the influence of his mum, that white influence. Thanks for that, Derek. So let's talk about this conflict of interest that Derek Warwick might have. So Derek Warwick was a steward at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the one where they fixed it. After the event, Mercedes appealed that the FIA had fixed it, and Derek Warwick was one of the stewards to decide on whether or not they'd fixed it. Derek was working alongside Gary Connolly, Felix Holter, and there he is at the bottom there. Now Derek here, he is, there's his description, that's his experience. Been a FIA steward for many years, and this is just some of Derek Warwick's experience as a steward in Formula One. Now the events listed there are where Derek Warwick has been a steward at a Grand Prix where a safety car has been deployed and the unlapping procedure has been required to take place. So in 2013, Derek witnessed Charlie Whiting keep that safety car circulating for 2 laps beyond the lap that the lapped cars were released. Likewise in Bahrain 2014, likewise in Monaco 2014. In Monaco 2017, that safety car performed the mandatory 1 lap beyond the lap that they were released on. The same again in 2019 Germany, and in 2020, when Michael Massey was the race director, Derek Warwick witnessed Michael Massey keep that safety car circulating on track for 2 laps. One of those laps was beyond the minimum requirement of the 1 safety car lap after the mandatory release of those lapped cars. In 2021, Derek Warwick was a steward at the Spanish Grand Prix. Didn't feel it fit to penalise Max dive bomb at that first corner. The Austrian Grand Prix, the Belgian Parade, and finally Abu Dhabi. So at that 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, where the safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap that the lapped cars were released, this is what Derek Warwick knew. There he is, look, at the bottom there as being one of the stewards. Assessed a car causing a collision. Okay, imposed a 5-second time penalty, gave penalty points on licenses. All part of them decision making there, Derek Warwick. But this is what happened. This is what happened at Eiffel. You see, tracker view. Lewis Hamilton is in the lead. The Petronas bluey green dot just about to cross the start finish line. Daniel Kvyat is a white dot. He's the last running competitor in 15th. He has just overtaken Lewis Hamilton and the safety car. And now begins the mandatory 1 lap that those released cars must be given by the race director with which to attempt to catch the back of the pack. So 1 lap later, we can go racing again. 1 lap later, tracker view looks like this. There it is, look. Are those release cars, starting there with Charles Leclerc, that's now at turn 10, have they caught the back of the pack? Which is the intention of rules, regulations should I say, 48.9 and 48.10. 48.12 being just that same regulation, but when you're dealing with lapped cars. Your intention is to achieve the same outcome. So that's after the mandatory safety car lap. Does Massey get the cars going again? Does he let them race? No, because he gives them an extra lap until they get to this position, until they're all bunched up, achieving the intention of 48.9 and 48.10 before racing resumes. Derek Warwick, our great white hope here, he knew that. He saw that. He's been a steward for years. But Warwick let the 3 musketeers into the steward's appeal, and he let them present their version of events. Derek here decided to let Red Bull argue that any does not mean all. Derek decided to allow them to argue that one of the articles overrides another article. Derek liked to allow them to argue that the race director has overriding authority over the use of the safety car. And Derek allowed the argument, even if all cars had been lapped were allowed to overtake, it would not have changed the outcome of the race. Seem to have forgotten about that mandatory safety car lap there, don't we, Derek? Now, where's the conflict of interest, I hear you say? Now, we've already established that Derek here doesn't like black people. But in addition to that, Derek's got a business of his own. Let's have a look at Derek's business. Here it is, look. It's a Honda car dealership. Oh, who was he adjudicating on would win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the 2021 season championship? Would that be a Honda-powered Red Bull car? Would that be used as marketing material to try to sell the brand of Honda and increase Honda car sales through the prestige of being a world champion in the pinnacle motorsport of Formula One? Let Derek know what you think in the comments section on Derek's website. Contact us or email us. Give him a call today. Derek's very proud. He's often found there, as he says at the bottom, very proud of Derek Warwick Honda jersey, and you will find him most days in his office by reception. So he's accessible to all of your customers. Probably just hopes that they're white. Oh, here's another picture of it. You see, it's been some time that I've actually been campaigning about this. I've been on YouTube for just over a year now, but this started well over a year ago for me. February 2023. Before that. What have we got here? We've got Derek Warwick, conflict of interest, February the 26th, 2022. Derek Warwick, Formula One steward, corruption. Derek Warwick, one of the 4 stewards who rejected Mercedes' appeal in the immediate aftermath of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, favouring Red Bull Honda's case, owns a Honda dealership on Jersey, now benefiting from the F1 success. This corrupt individual also apparently referred to Verstappen back in 2016 as being the Great White Hope. It is a clear conflict of interest. And it's not just apparently, we've got the proof. The video exists. The footage, the podcasts exist, and you can see that on my channel. Click the orange thumbnail. That wasn't the only one I did. Let's have a read. Here we go. February the 26th, 2022. Dear all, I have a dream. Martin Luther King, 28th of the 8th, 1963. Cited it. Anyway, this email, because I sent it to a few places, I sent it to some media sources to highlight to them that it was a conflict of interest that no media report on. But here we go. One of the 4 stewards who rejected Team Mercedes AMG's totally valid appeal at the end of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, instead choosing to side with the arguments of Team Red Bull Honda. Good old Kaiser Soze, Christian Horner, pulling the strings. 2 things. 1. Derek Warwick Honda dealership on the island of Jersey. No conflict of interest? No conflict of interest, Mr. Warwick, in rejecting Mercedes' valid appeal, not upholding the rules of the sport, and declaring that all that went on was in accordance with the rules of the sport of Formula One? Is there likely to be any benefit in a Honda-powered car winning the F1 Drivers' World Championship, benefiting sales of Honda motor cars? Surely Honda won't be using this as a marketing tool. Would anyone believe that there could be any form of corruption going on here? No, of course not. My mistake. The Great White Hope podcast. Yes, Derek Warwick, you said this. Yes, it still exists, despite people's best efforts to make it go away. Who would use this term? I've been trying to think. of a scenario where this term could be applicable, but I've failed to come up with an answer. Perhaps if there was some part of me that was frustrated or disgruntled in any way, uncomfortable that a person of colour, a black person, was dominating a profession and raising the bar in terms of the level of performance that they were consistently capable of, then I might use that term. But in my belief system, ability and integrity are attributes that are independent of skin colour. When I saw Usain Bolt and Michael Johnson pushing the boundaries what a human was capable of achieving, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm hoping that a white man can come along and eclipse their achievements. When I saw Michael Jordan play basketball, Tiger Woods play golf, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho and Rivaldo play football from the gods, Thierry Henry, Clarence Seedorf, JJ Okocha and Golo Kante, I wasn't thinking, I'm hoping for a great white hope to come along and match up to what these guys are capable of. I just marvelled at seeing true greatness. But perhaps that's where I differ from those whose ability to appreciate this is hampered by the fact that a person's skin tone may irk them from accepting certain people at the pinnacle of their professions and wanting to see those people eclipsed by someone who has a lighter skin tone. A term exists for those type of people. It's called being a racist. But I'm sure Derek Warwick isn't a racist. I'm sure Derek Warwick has lots of black friends. I would ask Honda UK, does a person like this match your brand values? If they do, then goody good for you. If they don't, perhaps you should consider whether this individual is suitable for holding a Honda main dealership franchise. There may be a hint of ironic tone to this message. Those who have integrity may have detected it. The rest of you may still be confused. Honda, the power of dreams. Now, if you haven't already done so, click on the link that should be appearing on the left-hand side, which will give you a link to the part 4 of the Abu Dhabi fix. There are parts A and B to it, which show the true extent of the corruption that took place in the post-race Steward's appeal. Those decisions that Derek Warwick made, corrupt decisions, a man that knows the rules of the sport, has got a lot of experience in the sport, and corruptly gave Max Verstappen and Red Bull victory in that race. Thanks for your time.